Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and live streamed. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Simeon Morrow Public Speaking and Presentations, Vienna Live with Simeon Morrow, and other third parties. If you prefer to not be recorded, please turn off your camera and microphone or go to the LinkedIn Live video feed, the link to which I'll now place in the chat room. For a better experience, please turn off your microphone and set your video to gallery view. This show thrives on participant contributions, and all participants are encouraged to actively participate in this webinar by asking questions and making comments. To do so, please either write in the chat room, raise your hand, or turn on your microphone and say hi, and I'll be delighted to include your perspective in the conversation. Tonight, our featured guests are Sylvia Saavedra-Edelmann, Managing Director of the Otto Edelmann Society, Peter Edelmann, a baritone and professor, the son of Otto Edelmann, a baritone and professor of singing at the University for Music and Performing Arts Vienna, his father's alma mater. Also joining us tonight is Dr. Lino Rivera, professor of music at St. Mary's College of California.
Zukünftige Delizieus Monument Kompliment, ein feines Handgelenk, darauf heute viel, ist unter Bürgerlichen eine seltene Distinktion. Es ist mir heiß und kalt. Gestatten, dass ich die getreue Jungfer Marianne Leitmetzer los ja das weg. Begrüße jetzt mit mir meinen Herrn Rosenkavalier. Ist er leicht ein Großtauscher und kommt ihm vor, hätte mich eingetauscht.
Fantastic. Sylvia, welcome.
Hello, Simeon. Nice to be here. Thank you. I'm very happy.
Sylvia, so tell us a little bit about where you come from and how you arrived at Vienna.
I come from Spain, but from the Canary Islands. That is very the south of the peninsula, so almost Morocco, Mauritania. And I came to Vienna, 23 years ago, because of my husband. He's a Viennese guy, and because here it was where he was doing his career almost.
And tell us, you are also a trained opera singer, is that right?
Yes, we met actually singing together in Las Palmas, in my island, Fledermaus. We fell in love immediately. And after 2 years, I moved to Austria. I must say, I moved first to Berlin. We were there for 3 years because he was singing in the Deutsche Oper, Berlin. And then after that, we came to Vienna.
Wow, what a beautiful love story. Okay, so tell us a little bit, and I guess this is the natural next question then, when did you first hear of Otto Edelmann? Did you hear of him before you met your husband? And what did you hear about Otto Edelmann?
But this is very funny because this Don Giovanni from Salzburg, I think every singer in the world, everybody who learned singing have seen this video. And that time we just had VHS, so we didn't have YouTube. So I knew that video, I knew that Don Giovanni. And when we sang together, Peter and me, and after the concerts, I went to meet him at the hotel, and he said, yeah, because of my father, you know, my father is a famous bass. And I said, who is your father? Yes, Edelmann, but it doesn't sound familiar to me. Yes, for sure, you know him. You know this video from 40 something in Salzburg with of course, I know, everybody knew. Yeah, so I knew him before. Yeah.
And tell us when you first saw that video, why is he so famous for that?
Well, this is just a must. It's a video that you must know when you love opera. This Don Giovanni of that time, it was after the war, and it's because of also Cesare Siepi singing, and I mean, it's a mythical Don Giovanni. Even today it is very old-fashioned, the staging and yeah, the pronunciation of the singers is not such quite perfect Italian, but it was the time. So everybody knows that video, sure.
Fantastic. So let's take another look at Peter Edelmann singing. Let me get this all set. Okay, here we go.
Il catalogo è questo delle belle che amò il padron mio, un catalogo che ho fatt'io. Osservate, leggete con me, osservate, leggete con me. In Italia 640, in Almania 231, 100 in Francia, in Turchia 91, in Spagna, ma in Spagna son già 1300.
Fantastic. So this brings us to our next, our first roundtable, I should say, which is who is Otto Edelmann? So we will see here, this is the city of Vienna's Wikipedia called Wien Geschichte Wiki. And here's the entry on Otto Edelmann. The roundtable's title is Who was Otto Edelmann and what was his place in the post-war West? In the online encyclopedia, the city of Vienna calls Wien Geschichte Wiki. The entry about Otto Edelmann introduces the singer as follows, and this is my translation from the original German to English, quote, Edelmann was born to the son of an engineer and was supposed to initially follow in his father's footsteps by pursuing a technical trade, but instead attended the Vienna Music Academy and was a singing student of Theo Lehrhammer. He debuted in 1937 at the Thuringia State Theater in Gera and subsequently until 1940 at the Nuremberg City Theater. After his military service and returning home after being held as a Russian prisoner of war, he debuted on November 30th, 1947 as Eremit in Weber's Der Freischütz at the Vienna Volksopera, which served at that time as a Vienna State Opera's stage during the reconstruction of the so-called Opera House on the Ring, and he belonged to the ensemble of the State Opera for the next 30 years. He was the choice singer of conductors Wilhelm Furtwängler, Clemens Krauss, Herbert von Karajan, and Karl Böhm for many different roles. In his 430 performances at the so-called Opera House on the Ring, he sang 36 roles in 30 different works. So Sylvia, and I believe we are joined by Peter. Hello, Peter Edelmann. Please tell us about Otto Edelmann, the private person and public figure. Sylvia, we can start with you, I guess.
Peter? Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Peter.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, the private person, Otto Edelmann. This is a simple and a hard question because, of course, he was a big personality to start with. He was a big personality, of course, on stage, but he also was a big personality in life. He was a very loving father, I can say, a loving husband, and he always, and a loving teacher too, because he was my teacher. He was the teacher of my brother Paul, and we had a great family life at home. Although many times he was not at home, he was touring in America, in all over Europe, and but when he was home, he was at home, and we were playing football in the grass. We were swimming together, we were making hiking tours, we were making holidays together. So everything very, very nice and full of love, I can say. And this is what he left us, this love to first to the art, to the music, to singing, to opera, and the love to the family. And yeah, this is how I want to describe him. And when Papa died, I made a note on the eulogy, not the eulogy paper, but the paper everybody got in hand at the funeral. And I chose the word, who heard him sing will never forget his voice and his artistry, and who knew him in person will never forget his love. This is simply said, but yeah.
Lovely. Wow. And Sylvia, tell us your perspective.
Yes, I just want to make a correction because of this wiki is a wrong. Somebody wrote it that I tried to correct, but this is he was born in Vienna actually, not in Brunnengebirge. He's a really Viennese 100%. Although his parents came from Czechia, so. He also was not exposed to be an engineer because his father died very, very soon, but he wanted to be a boxer. And he was combining boxing and singing, and his mother told him, you must choose between boxing or singing. So it is a very, I met him for the first time. He was already over the 70s, and he's, like Peter said, a very beloved person. He was very lovely, nice, always in a good humor. He was teaching until the last day of his life, and he died with when he was 86. He loved his pupils. He loved this job very, very much, so much that he could never stop working. And the most he was proud of was his two sons as singers. That is a little bit like Peter now, being very proud about his grandson. This also he's singing and studying in the same university where his grandfather was a teacher. Then his father took the same position in the same university as a teacher, and now is the son study over there. Yeah, this is a very beautiful story.
And how was it? Tell us, Sylvia, when you first met him, did he take you right away into the family? You said Peter, and you had really fell in love right away. Was he welcoming of you, or did he say, who is this Spanish person from the Canary Islands?
Yes, very much. Because now that nobody listened to us, he was his favorite son. and he loved him so much. And he came, we both came from other marriage that didn't go well. So we were like, waiting this year just to meet us, and everybody could see that. So how is it work until today? And we have a beautiful family with 3 children. And yeah, that's it. I know that he's over there, also my mother-in-law, and they take care also of us when from above.
Well, that's lovely. And Petra, tell us just a little bit more about you as a singer. As I understand, it's very difficult for some children of famous public figures to, they're always being told, oh, your father is such a great singer and all that. And there's this kind of strange dynamic. Tell us about you and your career, and then filling, you can't fill your father's place at the music university, but you are continuing that tradition, as Sylvia said.
Yeah, it was actually the idea of my father, because I was starting to study law. I played the violin at home, but I never sang actually. And I started to study law at the university, and one day Papa said, come to the piano and I want to listen to your voice. And I said, to my voice, why? Oh, let's hear if you have something here, if you have some material. And I sang some exercise with him. And after half an hour, he said, let's try to build a voice. Let's try to make exercises. I teach you. And he was very normal as a teacher. He was not pushy, you know. I know many colleagues of mine whose parents were singers. They're very pushy and very annoying and always trying to do something and practice. He was not at all like that. He gave me much time to develop, and he had a patience like an angel, really, with me. Many times I said, Papa, I think the voice is not going to be good and it's not enough. He said, be patient. I hear something and we try. And it was a luxury for me to have him, because we really worked every day. Every single day we made some exercises, if only half an hour or 45 minutes, but every day for 4 years. And it was hard work, but it was worth it, because after 4 years, I could manage my voice. And I was starting with 23 years, very young, in a theater in Germany, in a small theater where I had the chance to make many roles. And so it was great to work with him. And even after we made, he taught me singing. He always came to the performances and gave me advices, you know. And until he died, he was my mentor and my teacher, and also concerning contracts, concerning roles, what to do, which roles should I sing, and of course his career was in another time, and the time changed. So many advices I couldn't use anymore, because it was, for instance, he always said, wait, when you come to a big house, there are great conductors and they will help you. They will give you nice, good advices and new things you will learn from them. And it never happened to me. Never, because it was his time with Karajan, Furtwängler, Clemens Krauss, Knappertsbusch, Karl Böhm, and many great conductors who really knew a lot about voices. This is more or less gone totally nowadays, you see. So I really had some conductors were great. I had the chance to sing with Christian Thielemann in Berlin, the Wolfram in Tannhäuser. And this was a great experience. And he knows a lot about voices. And he really looked at your mouth conducting, you know, and breathing with you. You have the feeling he's breathing with me. But many conductors nowadays, they just hear the orchestra and don't care about somebody who is on the stage and singing, you know.
And I'd like to say now we have Peter and Sylvia here. Please consider asking a question or making a comment if you like. Wenn es Fragen gibt, Sie sind hier gerne zur Verfügung. Also bitte zögern Sie nicht, eine Frage zu stellen. Please, we have some German speakers, so you are very welcome to ask a question. Yes, we have a question from Professor Lino Rivera. Hi, Lino.
Hello, hello, Peter, and hello, Sylvia. I want to follow up on what Peter just said, that your father's time was a different time, and time has changed. Now, my question is also applicable to all of us who are professional musicians. How do you market yourself in this day and age? If times have changed, what do you do to market yourself out there? And of course, there are lots of competitions. There's 100 different singers for one role, as we know.
Yes, it is also always very hard to say 50 years ago, 60 years ago, after the war, the time was so great and everything was better. I cannot say everything was better, but I know what you just said, that after the war, when the big career of my father started, there were really not so many singers around. And nowadays there are much more singers around. The competition is much bigger, competitive, very competitive, but that's how it is, and you have to deal with this. What the best advice my father gave me is to start in a small theater and learn the repertory and learn the first steps on stage, and learn the tools, get the tools in your hand for later when you start to sing in larger houses with bigger orchestras and other roles. So I had the opportunity to be in a small theater in Germany for 5 years, and I after these 5 years I had a repertory from 25 big roles, all the Mozart, Don Giovanni, Conte, Figaro, Guglielmo, Marcello, Posa, and all big roles, 25 big roles. And I still live from these starting years. Now, I sang in my first year, I sang 120 performances. And this gave me a lot of routine in the best sense of the word. You understand? So, of course, every time has its own rules. And now, when I teach my students, they have totally different circumstances as I had, or my father had, of course. And you must deal with the circumstances you have nowadays, and do your best and try the best. What is the best to advise for young singers? Learn the technique and learn to handle your voice properly. This is for every age and for every time, the best advice. Yeah.
Okay. And so before we move on to our next roundtable, I would like to just ask briefly, Sylvia and then Peter, tell us about that world that Otto Edelmann was a part of. We've done now this is the third show we'll have done about a Viennese musician who became prominent in the post-war era. And we talked about how important this was for the Viennese society to have these people like Erich Weber, like Otto Edelmann, making music in order to, it was part of the reconstruction effort. It was part of the Viennese people, the Austrian people becoming again, okay. So tell us a little bit about that era, because I think that also will come together with our next roundtable about the society and young singers. But tell us about who was this man and what did he mean? We'll start with you, Sylvia.
Yes, I mean, what I heard and also heard from him, that the people was hungry about listening to music. They didn't have so much to eat. There was not heating, and they were sitting on the theaters with a coat, with their own coats. Also the singers freezing, but almost the second day there was a concert somewhere. So they were really, really very busy. As you know, the opera was down, so bombed. So they performed the ensemble of the Opera of Vienna performing Theater an der Wien. And it is very to think that, for example, my father-in-law, he came from the war, being imprisoned. He got a pneumonia, not a tuberculosis in the lungs. So it was full of liquids because of the prison. So it caused him to recover, but he did it quickly, and after so many years of war and prison, he didn't lose the voice. I think it was the thing that kept him alive during the war, because what we read from his letters before the war, when he was starting his career, he was very not very ambitious. Is not the kind of ambitious like we understand it today, but really dreaming with a real focus on having a career on stage, much more focused like I think young people are today. So when they focus on something, that was it. So that was the thing to do in life. And I think this was very important to keep him alive in the war, and to give him the strength to start again after he came back from prison.
Wow. And it was only when I, coming from the United States, was in Austria, that I started to understand what that might have meant to for all of those men who served in the military to then be in these Russian war camps and then have to make their way back, and how terrible. I mean, that we can't possibly understand what a terrible situation that was, and how heroic he is to have made it through there and then done what he did. And so please, Peter, tell us a little bit. Is that what Sylvia said? Is that your perspective?
Yeah, and the point is to keep the voice still working. When he came back after 7 years, he was in war for 5 years and then 2 years in prisoner camp in Russia. That means 7 years, no piano. There was no piano orchestra, but he could play a little guitar. And of course, the colleagues in the camp, in the war first, and then in the camp, knew that he was a singer. And he always made a program, a concert. Every Sunday, they asked him, sing for us. And he said there were 2,000, 3,000 men sitting there listening to me. So he had the chance to keep his voice. And he was the boss of the sauna, he said. So he had a barrack on its own, and he could train his voice there. And this, I think this kept him, his voice when he came back. Of course, it was here the catarrh, as Sylvia said, he was very sick actually. But with the time he recovered, and then he could audition for in the Volksoper. I think you told the story. He auditioned in the Volksoper because the Staatsoper was broke down. It was bombed. And he auditioned there, and they asked him, can you sing the Eremit in Freischütz in 4 days? And he always said, yes, of course, 4 days, no problem. Eremit in Freischütz, you have sung it before? Yeah. He said, never saw a note, never saw the music before. He learned the role in 4 days, and Hans Knappertsbusch was conducting, the big Hans Knappertsbusch, and it was his debut in the Volksoper. And Knappertsbusch saw him before the performance, and he said, my God, how do you look? You look like a ghost. Yeah, he said, I just came from war. Oh, you poor, look at me. I will give you every syncope, he said. So they helped him, and after this performance, he got a contract for over 30 years in the Staatsoper. This was his start. And of course, many artists had the chance, you cannot say, but stayed at home they signed for the party, for the Nazi party, signed as a member, and they could stay at home and give the people who stayed home a little joy with their art. But my father never signed a paper for the Nazi party, and so he had to go to war. This is the difference, because he was in Nuremberg before. He was a member of the opera in Nuremberg before the war, and the boss always called him, you must sign for the party, you must sign for the Nazi party. And he said, no, I'm not interested in it. And after a week, he was gone. But that's life, and this was his decision. But also, and his believing in his career was what Sylvia said, it was his believing in himself, in his art, what he can do, helped him a lot in his career. And also, he was a big sportsman. As Sylvia said, he was a boxer, and he always trained. He never boxed then, but he kept up with the training of a boxer. It is very demanding, and this gave him this nature and this great fitness in his body for the long roles like Hans Sachs or Wotan and these Wagner roles, and the big belief in himself. And he said, I was lying in bed to God, I want to sing in Bayreuth, I want to sing in Salzburg, I want to sing in Vienna Staatsoper, and I want to sing in the Scala, and I want to sing at the Metropolitan. And this is what he achieved, and he could make it. It was his great belief, and this belief he gave to his students. Now I just come home from university teaching 8 hours. I try to give this to my students, the belief in him, in itself and his voice, and the joy of singing. This is, he said, is 50%. 50% is your voice and your technique, everything. And 50% is the belief in yourself. Very self-confident you must be to make a career on stage. And thank God I have had the career now for almost 40 years on stage. And of course, not to compare with the career of my father, but I made good, almost 90 roles on stage and sang in big houses like Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires and Venice and San Carlo in Napoli and Vienna Staatsoper, Vienna Volksoper, and it was believing in what you can do and achieve. And this is very important.
Inspiring. Let's take a listen now to once more to Otto Edelmann.
Euer Gnaden haben heut durch unversiegte Huld mich tief bestaunt. In dieser Wiener Stadt, wer nicht me gusto hin, keine Nacht dir zu
Fantastic. So let's go now to our second roundtable, which is the Otto Edelmann Society. And I will put that up too, so we can have a look at it, the website here. So it's understandable why we would have the Otto Edelmann Society after hearing such an incredible, inspiring story. On its website, the Otto Edelmann Society describes itself as follows, quote, "The Otto Edelmann Society was founded in 2006 Its goal is to uphold the memory of the great Viennese singer, Kammersänger Otto Edelmann, and to continue the support of young singers, just as Otto Edelmann himself had done after his active career in singing. So far, many young singers at the start of their careers have been given the chance to perform in some of the over 30 concerts held by the Otto Edelmann Society, giving them not only a chance to introduce themselves to an audience, but also to work beside well-known professional singers. Furthermore, the Otto Edelmann Society hosts discussion rounds on current topics of the music industry. The highlights of the Otto Edelmann Society is the annual International Otto Edelmann Singing Competition, which is organized in collaboration with the University of Performing Arts Vienna, and where the organization has the honor of presenting its very own Audience Choice Awards. Sylvia, Peter, please tell us about the years directly following Otto Edelmann's passing and the foundation of the society 3 years later. What is the Otto Edelmann Society all about? How about we start with you, Sylvia?
Yes, actually, it was an idea of a pupil of my father-in-law, Verena Di Prato. She started the school of music school in the first district, and she wanted to open a small room to make concerts in the name of to remember Otto Edelmann. So as the school disappeared, we said, what do we do now? This is such a pity to have a society with doing nothing. What can we do for the young singers? The best to do was to organize concerts for them, where a professional singer presented the young singers chosen by us. Then we realized, okay, the young singers need a little help because they are not very used to perform, and so we offer them totally free workshops about auditioning and performing. This originated in the concert that the audience could choose the best singer. It came this very small Otto Edelmann singing competition, and after years the University of Performance and Music of Vienna, they asked us if we could collaborate and let them to do the competition with a big orchestra and better conditions, and of course we were delighted to give them the name of the competition, and we are still in the organization of the jury and also public relations of the competition. So that makes us very happy this because of this evolution, and the society after. Also we realized that not only the young singers needed to know how to perform, know how to go to the audition and how to sell themselves. We also gave masterclasses and workshops, also free, about self-management, about how to start a career and styling and everything around. And then after in 2015 we started with our first productions that the singers could perform a whole role in a small stage.
Okay, and Peter, is that your understanding of what the best thing for young singers is? After you're teaching them this technique, but then this allowing them to do these full productions, to have the singing competition, is that how you'd like to honor your father's memory?
Yes, of course, and the best thing of the society is that we offer everything free for the young singers. They don't have to pay anything, and it is especially for young singers who just finished, who maybe were taught privately, because in the university you have the whole program. You have small performances, concerts, and when you learn, when you have not the chance to be in a university because there are limited places, of course, they have the possibility to work with us, and we try to help them, give them connection, give them the tools they are looking for, and making their debut on the stage with main roles in small productions. And many young singers can sing already and have as you said, the technique, they can sing, but to be on stage, to play a role and to produce your voice, and it is totally different. And you must jump in the cold water, and we give them this cold water for free and try to help them and give them connections and this is I think it's a wonderful thing in the memory of my father, because the last 20 years of his life he was teaching in the university and privately, and many young singers came to get advice from him. And so we keep up this idea. And the singing competition, of course, it's the biggest singing competition in the opera town Vienna now. It is the only big, and we have the finals with orchestra. We try to organize everything every other year, and the winners and the prize winners, they all got good jobs, because the main idea of this competition is not that we have singers in the jury, but we have really theater directors. There was the director of the Vienna State Opera, Dominique Meyer, who is now the boss in La Scala Milano. We had Jan Hollander, who was the former director of the Vienna Staatsoper. Many agents, and then people who can really hire the young singers. This is the main idea, not singers who say, yeah, the technique is like this, the technique is not good, the technique needs this. This is not, they hear this every day. So what they really get in the competition is a free, more or less free audition. And then they get the chance, because I had the chance to make a competition, the Belvedere competition in '89. And I got an audition at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, and I got the job there, and I was in an ensemble for 11 years. And this was the idea of the competition. So no singers in the jury, but agents and people who can really, casting directors. And actually we had a Ukraine soprano who didn't pass the first round in the last competition last year. And now she's a member of the Vienna Staatsoper. She didn't win,
because
but she had a great voice. And the casting director of Robert Körner of the Staatsoper was in the jury, and he said he invited her right away for auditioning in the Staatsoper. Now she's singing Musetta in the Vienna Staatsoper. This is the idea.
Wow. So a competition where everybody wins. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So let's hear some of the singers ourselves.
Ah.
Studia il passo, mio figlio, usciamo da queste tenebre. Un senso ignoto nascer mi sento in te.
Wow. Okay. So we have a question, I believe, from Professor Lino Rivera, St. Mary's College of California. Hi, Lino.
Hello, hello, Simeon. I want to follow up again on what Peter just said about the foundation. Um, it's all excellent, and you are doing fantastic with regards to these young talents, and they're giving them opportunities. However, of course, there is always the issue of the business side of it. Who is financing it? I presume that nothing is going to happen without the financial foundation of it, and it also is a lot of work to manage who to get the fundings from. So, could you tell us a little bit about the foundation of how to find the money to support your mission?
It's a very good question. Actually, it is not a foundation. We don't have a fund, and we live in a country where the people think everything is paid by the government. We have no tradition with, not such a big tradition with sponsoring and giving money to arts. But we have, we have members of our society. They give us little money. We try to make fundraising. We try to ask the people, help us with some money. We give our own money. Of course, our work is for free, and is a non-profit thing. We really try to help the young people, to give them everything we can. We buy them concert dresses, for instance, or such small things, but important things, And so we have some friends who give us help us with their coming to the concerts and to the productions of Plus Opera, and but not really. We don't have the big fund in the bank account, nothing like this. But yeah, we try to from one production to the other. We try to raise some money privately, and from 2006 it worked until now. So we are in the 17th year, and it's still working. Yeah, but it's a very good question. Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's see now. Let's go on to our third roundtable. What's next? The Plus Opera organization. So at the website of plusopera.com, it says, since its first staging in 2014, Plus Opera has presented itself as a lighthearted, fresh, and approachable proposal for all audiences, whether they know musical theater or not, young and not so young, music lovers or shy and curious people who did not dare to enter this world, a staging of operas, operettas, musicals, and Neapolitan intermezzos, whose aim is nothing more than to entertain and thrill. So tell us, please, Sylvia, let's start with you. What is this organization? So the Otto Edelmann Society is, I guess, maybe part or has something to do with this organization?
Yes. Well,
you have so many activities. Tell us about this and what's coming up.
Plus Opera was born because, as we said, we realized that the people really need to have roles in their biography. So this is very important for them to have performed a whole role of an opera, to present themselves in front of a jury or an agent, whatever. So we started to produce small, very no money. So we have their own costumes. We very small theater. We ask for help where to can do our rehearsals. Of course, the society pay a stage director, a very good one, very specialized with working with young people, Leonard Prinsloo, and also a conductor, a pianist, and also pays for the theater. This is very expensive actually for the society, but yeah, until now we did 14 productions, And the last a year ago, 2 years ago, I decided to come to my hometown with my own production. It was in Intermezzo, L'Empresario delle Canarie. Also, I must say that because of our blues opera, also pianists and conductors have the opportunity to perform for the very first time their own opera production. So we had at the time a very young talented director who now is conductor who's now in Salzburg, Landestheater, Kapellmeister. He made his debut with us. And we brought him and this intermezzo to Las Palmas. And somebody from there engaged Blues Opera to make a big production. So it was our first experience as a production firma. So we did this Orfeo at the Euridice that we're in this image right now, and we jumped in another world. So we were engaging singers and other people through Blues Opera. This is what is going to happen again on May, and I hope that it stay like this, and we go more in engaging and creating jobs for the very needed world of the singers, conductors, and so on.
Incredible, inspiring. So because unfortunately we're running out of time, I want us to take a look at one more quick video, and we can all recognize this, I imagine, because it says June 19th, 2020. So, of course, that was at the height of the COVID pandemic, and Plus Opera, I understand they were performing outside for in the courtyard for neighbors. How inspiring! So, last question then, first to you, Sylvia, and then to you, Peter. If Otto Edelmann were watching tonight, were part of one of our participants tonight, what would you say to him, Sylvia?
Oh. I don't know, but he would be very happy that, because he was very proud of his own career. He after when he got all, he was always telling about his anecdotes and his stories. He was very, very proud. So I think that he would be very happy that we are doing something good in his name. Yeah.
Peter?
Yeah. He would be proud, and I think it is a great gift for my father we try to give something back what he gave us. So in this with love for young singers, helping young singers, and give them all we can, our tools, our knowledge about the career, about music, about opera. We try to give something back, and this is the whole idea of the society. And I must say, it was not my idea. It was the idea of my great wife, Sylvia. She is really the mastermind. Maybe somebody of you saw this already and felt it. She's the mastermind behind everything, all the ideas with the concerts in the courtyard, in the big pandemic. It was her idea, and we got money from the district where we live here. We have beautiful courtyards, and we were the first one in Vienna who started with music outside, and then the people wanted to throw the money down on us like it was before, you know. It was really, and it was her idea, and Plus Opera is her idea, and she always comes and takes me, and you have to do this, and you have to sing. For my 60th birthday last year, she made an opera. She gave me a gift for a production of Il Campanello from Donizetti for Plus Opera, and we could get some money from the people for this, and we made a huge party for them. And I look forward to what is the next.
Well, thank you so very much to Sylvia Saavedra-Edelmann and Professor Peter Edelmann.
Thank you to you.
Thank you, Simeon.
So
Yes.
let's take a look at what's happening next week. You bring this up here. Oh, excuse me. No, at first it's going to be how we can stay in touch. We have to figure out how we can stay in touch with Sylvia and Peter. Here it is, plusopera.com. And I believe they have a contact form right here. All you do is you
Yes.
click contact, and then you can reach out. Is that right, Sylvia and Peter?
Yes, that is right. Also, I'm in every social media that exists with Plus Opera, also with my name, also with Peter. So you can reach us everywhere. Very
Fantastic.
easily.
So don't be shy. Reach out to Peter and Sylvia with your questions. Just come here to plusopera.com/contact, and they'll be happy to answer your questions. Let's take a look at next week. What's coming up? We have here the Ariana String Quartet, DEI, starts with chamber music. The string quartet genre may define classical music better than any other. Its 4 musical parts are played by 2 violins, 1 viola, and 1 cello. Together, those parts can perform both monophonic music, i.e. all parts play the same rhythm in unity, like a church chorale, and polyphonic music, i.e. each part performs independently of the others. Most string quartets we love are considered inspired combinations of the two. Well, those terms are a bit out of date, just like the word classical, you are probably thinking to yourself. Maybe, but the social construct the string quartet is founded on is as contemporary as it gets. Offices to institute diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging have sprung up in every sector of American commercial and non-commercial industry and are directed by fancy named officials who oversee multi-million-dollar annual budgets. New name, old problem. Those offices have been created to figure out the age-old Enlightenment quandary of how to appreciate difference and bring the excluded into the fold to share wisdom. Joseph Haydn, considered the father of the string quartet and most other classical music genres, beside the way, experienced this Enlightenment issue firsthand during the chamber music salon concerts he attended, and he eventually developed the string quartet to show off an impressive DEI strategy. Whereas the first violin dominates his string quartet's opus 20 and the other parts mostly not in agreement, the 4 parts become equal discursive partners in his opus 33 quartets, all to the benefit of an enriching musical conversation. The Ariana String Quartet is in its 30th year now, and the quartet, the resident chamber music ensemble of the University of Missouri St. Louis, joins our show to discuss the extraordinary string quartet genre with us and why it is so relevant to our current moment. As always, all information about upcoming shows may be found at www.simeonmoro.com. Once again, that is the Ariana String Quartet. DEI starts with chamber music. Once again, thank you so very much to Sylvia Saavedra-Edelmann and Professor Peter Edelmann. Thank you very much to Professor Lino Rivera and to Victoria and Frederick Mulligan for their support of this show, as well as Agnieszka and Benoit Rivolet. Thanks most of all to you, our participants who make it all worthwhile. From Vienna, Austria, New London, New Hampshire, in the Bay Area, California, goodbye, and see you next Wednesday.
Bye. Thank you for having us.